Welcome, guys. So this is another day and another vlog post. As you can see, I take it serious now. So this is like 2 days, two vlog posts. This is the second day of the full lockdown in Germany. So it's nice and quiet out there. Yesterday, at the end of the vlog, I went to Alexanderplatz, was kind of the most busy, one of the most busiest places in Berlin, and there's nothing going on because all shops are closed. So at the same time, this gives us some time to keep on going with the vlog. And today I want to talk about spirituality, because I said, one thing is that I was always very much interested in, finding yourself in a way, whatever that means. And I think one of the basic questions is why do we have to find ourselves? Because how did we lose ourselves is the big question. Because you can only find what you've lost. And my explanation after having studied and been in that field for a while is that it has to do with lack of love. So many of you, if you've been around spiritual people, and it's so funny because people, now even in Germany they call these people that demonstrate against the wearing the masks and so on, they call them these esoteric people, and it's kind of that they look down on them because they're kind of a little crazy. And in a way I do understand this, because it's really hard to meet crazier people than in the spiritual and health movement, I would say. The amount of people that have really major issues is really, it's hard to top that. And then why is that? So in my way of seeing it, it has a lot to do with like not being loved as a child. So now many people will say, oh God, now he starts this whole parents thing again. But it's very essential. That's how we kind of were programmed. This is what we will be for the rest of our lives. Because what happens is, and now some people are luckier, some people are less lucky with what kind of parents they have. But very often in the spiritual movement, you meet people who had a really rough time with their parents, or just didn't get much love from their parents. So what happens then is, and that's the crux, I think, of our society, because we don't know how to deal with the situation of not being loved, because every child needs love. And then we split ourselves off. That means, here I am, I'm vulnerable, I don't know how to deal with the situation, that I'm with these people that don't really care about me. And that experience is so bad that I create an alter ego, or just an ego. So the ego is kind of what we use as an escape from suffering. So you're small, you're vulnerable, and then you make up the story about yourself out of pain. In my experience, ego only gets created out of pain to deal with the situation. And with that, we have created the main problem of the world, because now we are not ourselves. Now, we lived like that for a while, 20, 30 years. We're quite unhappy. And then we started doing yoga and meditate and try to get back to the spot where we were before that separation happened. And the more we suffer, the more we attracted to a spiritual practice. Even in the yoga field, it's a lot. It's a lot sometimes. We had this big event for Yoga Rebellion, and we had 50 yoga teachers from all over the world, and the egos were so big you could barely fit them in the room. And they're nice people, I'm just saying, being a yoga teacher, even being a spiritual teacher, doesn't mean you don't have any ego. They all do, and that's usually what catches up with them at the end. So that's what I wanted to say. So the base of working on yourself is pain. Now, if we would have enough love in our lives, if we would have had enough love as children, who wants to meditate? Who wants to think about why everything is so terrible? Because it wouldn't be, we would be happy with ourselves, and we would just be out playing with whatever it is, be it with the camera, be with just life. We would explore. We wouldn't have to escape suffering, because we would suffer much, much less. And that's the interesting thing. I have a good friend who went through. She went through a lot of terrible childhood stuff. Her mom gave her to a foster family and so on, and so she has been working a lot in the spiritual field, and but she always tells me her children, and she really focused on doing things better or right with her children. They're not interested. Why would I be? Why would I be interested if I would be okay? That's the basis of spiritual practice is a lack of love. So Buddha once said, life is suffering, but he also said there's a way out of suffering. And again, maybe if you had good parents, you don't even think about these things. But if you do, there is definitely a way out, but it's not getting stuck in the practice. And that's, in my experience, again, like what many people do. I mean, even in the Ashtanga world, and it's a great practice, but they do it every day, and then the suffering comes back and they have to do it again. So the idea is to get out of the wheel of life. And that's also something I want to talk about in this vlog. And obviously, I wouldn't have had all that. I wouldn't have had to do all that work if I wouldn't have had 1, 2, 3, or 4 issues. But another thing that's really interesting is that very often the people who have the most issues and who have the hardest time, even in yoga, sometimes you meet these people and they're so good and they've been practicing for so long and they put so much effort into it, and really they turned their lives around in parts. And I did Kung Fu for some time. My Kung Fu teacher, he always said, his most talented students are his biggest disappointments. So a lot of people who helped other people spiritually, big spiritual teachers, had a really rough time. Definitely Byron Katie, who was chronically depressive. Some of you know her, and that gave them the strength to work on themselves and to turn things around. So thanks again for listening. I'll enjoy the weather a little bit outside, while we still can go outside. Who knows what's next? So thank you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.